folks, it's shintigercurl here, that dude in the straw hat, bringing you yet another wrestling review. I'm joined, of course, by my cohort and associate, Joe. Say hi, Joe. He had Xanax today. So, what to say? It's Thursday night, you know what that means. Time to suffer through yet another episode of TNA Impact. Now, coming off perhaps one of the best Raws of the year, if not ever, with the return of The Rock, how can TNA possibly respond to this? Oh, and before I continue, I'd like to say that I missed one match in my Against All Odds review, the match between Bubba Ray and between Bully Ray and Devon and his two sons, whose names I forget. It was a street fight. And it was good, but I didn't like the finish. So I'll just leave that alone. Anyway, we open with a recap of the last two matches of Against All Odds. I'm not even going to bother remembering those two matches because they sucked. So let's get the show on the road. Immortal comes out, and of course Eric Bischoff is stroking their cocks, trying to make them look good. And out comes Jeff Hardy, the new TNA World Champion, with his Divas belt. That thing still looks goddamn awful, even around Jeff's waist. And it's kind of sad to see Eric trying to build up Gunner and Murphy as being the physical superiors of a team like Beer Money. And as for Matt Hardy, why? They lost their matches and you try to make them look good. You can't look good after you lose. And then Eric Bischoff goes in to say that he wanted to have Jeff relax after having his ladder match at Against All Odds against Mr. Anderson. But the network execs told him that he's supposed to defend his title tonight against RVD, the long-awaited rematch for the belt that he never lost. First off, aren't you the boss, Bischoff? Don't you have control? You were into this whole titles equal power shtick, and now you find out that you can't control what matches Jeff Hardy has? And when does the network execs control anything that TNA does? Seriously, why? Then Ric Flair comes out, cutting the classic Ric Flair promo. And now you know what that means. In the words of the Spoony one, when Ric Flair takes off his jacket, shit gets real. And he didn't so much explain why fortune turned, he just kind of rambled on like, I'm God, I'm God, I'm God. God damn it. Nature boy. Woo! You know the standard Ric Flair thing. And that's how we end segment one. Well, we didn't end segment one with Karen and Jeff's promo, which further reasserts the fact that Kurt Angle lost Sunday. Why are these people on my TV? I don't like them. Anyway, commercial break. We come back, and AJ and Matt Hardy are having a brawl. Apparently tonight, it's going to be AJ Styles versus Matt Hardy. Already I can see this is not going to end well for me. They have a brawl backstage, and they try to break it up to standard wrestling stuff. And then they have a segment with Hernandez, meeting the two Latina knockouts, Sarita and her cousin Rosita. And as you know, Hernandez is back as a heel. But what's worse, he's doing the standard angry Mexican minority gimmick that every other Mexican wrestler has done and failed at. So the next match is Douglas Williams versus Hernandez. Hernandez jumps Douglas, and why would they put Douglas Williams in a squash match against Hernandez of all people? Why? There's certainly a lot of more deserving people to be squashed in TNA. Hell, they've been having the X Division squash against members of Immortal for months. How come you couldn't get someone like Brian Kendrick to do it? He's squashable. But why would you squash someone the level of skill and talent of Douglas Williams? Why? Needless to say, border toss, Douglas wins. I don't like this. I do not like this. Outside the ring during the match, Madison Rain, Velvet Sky comes out and she kind of gets into it with Sarita and her cousin. It's a TNA insta feud. You don't need logic or history or anything. Just pour in and boom, instant feud. And speaking of instant feuds, the next segment is the Pope, and he's in the ring with a giant roast pig on a table. Now clearly, TNA has seen Monday's Raw with The Rock's return, and the Pope tries to cut a good promo. Don't get me wrong, the Pope is good at talking. This wasn't his best promo. I've seen better. It was obvious he was trying to get some of the spontaneity that The Rock has, but it's just not working. Now, he offers some of the pig. He makes some pig references to Joe. A lot of the stuff I didn't even get. And Joe comes out. Then, out of nowhere, from behind the Pope, comes Okada, or Kato, or as Taz and Mike Tenay have said, Okato. And he hits him from behind. Joe gets in the ring, beats his ass, and muscle busts him through the table with the pig. Now, normally I do enjoy Samoa Joe killing people as much as the next guy, but when you need help from a guy who nobody knows anything about, that kind of kills your cred as a Samoan submission machine. I mean, back in the day when Joe first came to TNA, he didn't align with anybody. He just came out, kill people, and be done with it. He didn't need to jump people from behind or need help with anyone to get over or something like that. Not counting his Nation of Violence days. But yeah, why does Joe need a skinny Bruce Lee wannabe, a reject from the Green Hornet movies, the Green Hornet movie? Why would he need him to help him beat up the Pope? This kind of kills your cred as a killer, Joe. You don't need him. You can kill the Pope on your own. You did it this Sunday. Whatever. What else? I'm looking at my notes. Next, Robbie E comes out with Cookie, and they talk about winning back their X Division title. Now, this is the part I don't like about Robbie E and the whole Shore gimmick. Why the belt has to be associated with Cookie? Cookie's not a knockout. She hasn't wrestled. Why is she automatically assuming that the belt belongs to her? It's not her belt. It's silly. But a little bit of happiness came out for me. Backstage before the match, before Kazarian came out, he was shown busting some slob with his wife. And if you don't know by now, his wife is the lovely Miss Tracy Brooks, who has been gone for a while, but now apparently she's back. Kazarian cuts a average promo, and they have a match. The match is very short, as Cookie comes out and hits Kazarian in the face with some kind of purse, automatically getting the ref to throw the match out. Cookie goes ballistic and starts slapping around Kazarian and says, "But Robbie, get my X Division title." What are you doing to the X Division, TNA? But fortunately for me, Miss Brooks comes out and beats the holy hell out of Cookie. Now that I enjoyed. Not only because I like Miss Brooks, I like her work, but somebody really need to beat the hell out of that little scantily clad bitch. Don't get me wrong, Cookie's hot. It's just that I don't want to ever see her on TV in that kind of position ever again. Backstage, Flair meets up with Fortune for the first time since their defection, And they're having that palling around, doing everything that we love Fortune to do, just bullshitting. And then AJ opens his locker, and it turns out there are 3 Smirnoff Ices. Flair just iced Fortune. Payback's a bitch, isn't it? Needless to say, I enjoyed this little scene. The one thing about Fortune that everybody seems to like, they seem like the kind of guys that you would want to hang around. They just look like they're having a good time. Much different from any other stable out there. They just look like they're having a good time. Like, yeah, that's how they're gonna be. We're gonna be drinking Smirnoff Ices. Chug, 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 chug. Of course, James Storm takes AJ's ice and chugs that. I'm drunk. Next match, AJ Styles versus Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy, you should not be within 100 miles of AJ Styles. And it was pretty obvious from this. AJ looked at the top of his game, even though he had to slow down for Matt's fat ass. And at one point, Matt actually trips. Not because of any outside interference, not because AJ tripped him. He just tripped over his own 2 feet. There were a few botched moves, and I'm like, Matt Hardy should not be in the ring with an athlete at the caliber of AJ. Then Ric Flair comes out. He's cheering for AJ. AJ goes on the top ropes to do some kind of move when Rick trips him. Hardy gets the twist of fate, or twist of cake in his case, and picks up the victory. Now, I don't like this. I did not like this at all. I did not like the fact that AJ Styles had to lose to Matt Hardy of all people, when it is painfully obvious that Matt is nowhere near the caliber that AJ is at right now. And it just pains me that AJ had to suffer for this angle. And what's worse, Flair comes back and does a heel turn, I guess. Because when it comes to heel face turns, TNA does it like a revolving door. They do the most heel face turns of any company in the business. Now that piece of shit aside. Next up we get more Karen Jarrett angle. Don't care. Moving on. Anderson comes out and he is begging Eric Bischoff to come out. He is begging him to come out. Not the same sense like he's begging us. Like, please, Eric, please. Like, please, Eric, bring your ass out of here. I'm going to kick your ass. I'm going to kick your ass. Eric Bischoff comes out and Anderson brings up a good point. He says that why is RVD getting a title shot when the champ always gets a rematch after he loses the belt? Eric then goes on and says, well, I had nothing to do with it, Anderson. It was the network. The network had all that. I mean, that's just how they are. And Anderson points out probably one of the biggest plot holes in this whole storyline. He's like, well, let me get this right. You are the main guy. You're the head muckety muck. So I don't know who are these network guys. I haven't heard them before. Since when does the network dictate what you do? Which is a good point. Up until this point, the network has never made any kind of appearance or any kind of reference in the entirety of TNA or since Immortal came to power. So this just came out of nowhere. I mean, what happened? I mean, Bischoff and Hogan scammed Dixie out of her company, and all of a sudden now they're taking orders from the network. What happened, Eric? I mean, what about titles equal power? What happened to all that power? What happened to that power? Did you flush it down a toilet or something? What happened to it? So Eric's trying to backpedal, like, the network doesn't appreciate a champion who curses and who uses profane language. Oh. Yeah. Look, so let me get this right. Spike TV, that network doesn't like cursing in their programming, even though they run the Shield on weeknights. Yes, you remember the Shield. The program had more cursing in it than any program that came on network TV. They don't want a champion who curses, but a champion who does more drugs than Pablo Escobar. That's the kind of champion we want. I smell Russo bullshit. Anyway, he gives him a well-deserved mic check and walks out. But not before finding out that tonight he will be serving as a special guest referee for the title match between Jeff and RVD. Yeah, whatever. Next match, Beautiful People versus Sarita and her cousin Rosa. This was an average match. Oh, before this happened, Velvet Sky told Winter not to get herself involved in a match, and while she was talking and looking at herself in the mirror and primping, Winter picks up a pair of scissors and looks like she's going to shank her from behind. My question is, if Miss Sky was still talking to her and she was in the mirror, how come she didn't see this? Was that fucking magic mirror from WCW where only Hogan, the audience, the viewers at home, and the announcers could see the Warrior, but Eric Bischoff couldn't? Was it that kind of mirror? Anyway, Sarita picks up the win via cheating, and a small promo gets cut between Sarita and Sky, saying that the next time they meet, if Sarita wins, Velvet's career is over. I don't know. I just don't care about the Beautiful People at this point. All right. Where are we? We have another Karen and Jeff dinner where they complain about how the meal was subpar and complain how the wine wasn't of the appropriate year. Newsflash, Karen, that wasn't wine, that was champagne. There's a difference. One is real dark, the other is real light. One's got fizzes, the other doesn't. That just makes you look stupid, doesn't it, Joe? Joe knows his booze. Anyway, when they complain about who made the dinner, it turns out Kurt Angle came out, and he did it. So apparently, for a 5-star restaurant, all you need is an Olympic gold medal, and you can come back there and prepare food. It's just that simple. I guess I need to get an Olympic gold medal so I can move food. Next segment, Bully Ray comes out, because a few seconds earlier they talked about the match he had with Devon and how he put one of Devon's sons through a table, and they said that apparently Spike thought it was so graphic, so bad that they couldn't show it. Bubba comes out and he starts talking shit towards Tenay and Taz gets hot and he says, "No, you went too far. You need to get to stepping." And Bubba, while still talking trash, he walks away. Because even Bully Ray knows, you don't fuck with Taz or you'll get choked the fuck out. Okay, main event time. RVD versus Jeff Hardy for the world title. Mr. Anderson is special guest referee. I have to say that Jeff Hardy looked like he crawled out of his home after having a week-long drug bender. He just did not look very appealing as a wrestler. He just looked very dirty and unkempt, and it just looked like he had crabs. Don't ask me why. He just looked like he had some kind of venereal disease that I should be aware of. It just looked. Ugh. I didn't want to I'm gonna take a bath after I finish this because he looks so nasty. I'm afraid he might some of his shit might get off on me. And anyway, the match is okay. I mean, RVD's pulling off his usual stuff, and Jeff Hardy is phoning it in like usual. The only saving grace of this match is Anderson, who has some very interesting facial expressions during the match. Like when RVD was doing his, Anderson was like, yeah. But yeah, in the end, it was Hardy
won by a low blow and twist of fate. He won the match. He gets a mic check for his trouble. RVD gets in Anderson's face and wonders, "What the hell, bro? He low blowed me. He low blowed me, bro. Come on. Wake and bake, man. Wake and bake."
Anderson's not having it, so mic check on him, and he leaves pretty much pissed off. And that's how Impact ends. So that was TNA Impact. My verdict? Bad. Not as bad as last week's, but pretty bad. The matches were too short or subpar from what we're capable of. There were too many promos, which was probably in response to The Rock's epic promo at Raw, and it just felt flat. Plus those angles, plus those segments with Kurt and Jeff, I mean Kurt and Karen, were just painful to watch, and I don't ever want to see those two kissing ever again. It's just uncomfortable to watch. So my best bet, skip it. You're not missing anything. So that's Impact. That's my review. Those are my thoughts. If you like my video, subscribe me at the top. Give me some likes or some comments down below, and I'll try to respond to them. Oh, and a shout out to my friends at the Comic Book Resources Wrestling's Forum, who are now watching me as we speak. Thank you for your support. So this is shintigercurl, that dude in the straw hat, and Joe, saying good night and wrestle on.